There are three shadow-driven personality types, and most men are blind to which one secretly governs them. This blindness is not harmless. It is the reason they are manipulated, discarded, and forgotten. But the rare few who dare to face the truth in the mirror and recognize the darkness for what it is, they win, because power does not belong to those who pretend to be good. It belongs to those who master the hidden force that truly drives them. If you don't know which one is steering your instincts, emotions, and ambitions, then your fate has already been sealed. And the tragedy is this: most men believe they are strong, when in reality, they are only addicted to admiration. That is the curse of the first type, the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't actually love himself. He needs to be loved. He needs to be seen, acknowledged, celebrated. He enters a room and immediately begins measuring not power, not opportunity, but attention. Who noticed? Who didn't? Who praised him? Who ignored him? And in this desperate play for validation, he becomes enslaved to perception, yet he doesn't see it that way. He thinks he is simply confident, charismatic, destined for greatness. He'll even convince you he's self-assured. But beneath it all, he fears one thing above all else: being unseen. The narcissist builds his entire life around admiration, yet never feels admired enough. Because beneath the mask lies something fragile, something rotting, wounded pride. One insult, and he unravels. One rejection, and he schemes for revenge. The narcissist is not strong. He is starving, and the more he feeds on praise, the more he craves it just to survive. You'll notice him everywhere, loud, polished, carefully curated. He smiles wide, but his eyes are always scanning for slights. If you praise him, he glows. If you ignore him, he withers. But if you challenge him, he shatters. That's the moment the mask slips. The narcissist has no real defenses, only illusions. And when those illusions fracture, he collapses into rage or despair. Neither is controlled, neither is rational. He is an empire built on mirrors, and when the reflection no longer flatters him, he will burn the entire room down to restore it. This is why so many men fail silently, not because they lacked skill, but because their egos were too fragile to endure reality. One loss, and they disappear. One bruise, and they retreat into fantasy. They were never warriors. They were children in grown bodies, craving applause instead of conquest. But do not mistake this weakness for permanent defeat. The narcissist can rise, and often does, because he knows how to wear the perfect mask. He adapts to what you admire. He becomes exactly what you want to praise. In politics, entertainment, and leadership, narcissists rise faster than anyone else. Why? Because they must. While others hesitate, the narcissist poses. While others plan, he seduces. He reflects the desires of the crowd, and the crowd, hungry to worship, hands him the crown. But this is the cruel paradox. The very force that elevates him is the same one that destroys him. The moment admiration fades, he collapses. Think of the icons who crumbled when the spotlight dimmed, the leaders who couldn't endure criticism, the creators who vanished the moment applause stopped. It wasn't failure that crushed them. It was their addiction to appearing flawless, and this is where it becomes dangerous, not just for them, but for everyone around them. When the narcissist senses admiration slipping away, he doesn't leave quietly. He manipulates, guilt-trips, deceives. He rewrites history, vilifies those who stop feeding him praise. In relationships, he becomes controlling. In business, vindictive. He cannot let you go because your attention is his oxygen, so he will shame you, charm you, or destroy you, anything to remain center stage. And if he cannot be worshipped as the hero, he'll play the victim, or worse, the villain. Not out of strategy, but out of desperation. This is not true power. This is dependency disguised as dominance. And once you recognize it, you'll see it everywhere. The loudest in the room, the most polished, the ones who must always be special. They are not free. They are starving for applause. Here is the cruel truth. Most men under this spell never realize it until it's too late. They believe they're chasing greatness when they're only chasing compliments. They believe they're leaders when they're just addicts to validation. While they spend their lives building a false self for the world to admire, their real self decays, unnoticed, unloved, forgotten. Because they never stopped to ask the one question that mattered: who am I when no one is watching? This question haunts them, and if they ever pause long enough to face it, it shatters them. Because the truth is, the narcissist doesn't desire power. He only wants to look powerful, and in the end, that illusion becomes his cage. But here lies the greater danger. Some narcissists learn to weaponize their charm. They evolve. They study attention like a battlefield. They seduce not just to be admired, but to control. When this shift occurs, the narcissist is no longer fragile. He becomes calculated, strategic, a manipulator who uses charm as a weapon and vulnerability as armor. This is how he begins his transformation into something darker. He no longer craves praise like a child. Now he wields it like a weapon. No longer a desperate performer, but a master who understands the audience better than they understand themselves. Refined, selective, weaponized. Yet make no mistake, the wound is still there. He doesn't seduce to connect. He seduces to dominate. Because in his world, admiration is not love. It is leverage. Compliments stop being food and become currency. He trades them for loyalty, obedience, worship. In this new form, the narcissist grows dangerous, not only to himself, but to everyone who mistakes his mask for depth. Because once you believe the illusion, he owns you. And when he owns you, he feeds, not always loudly, not always openly. But behind every soft smile and gentle tone, he is extracting something from you. Admiration, sympathy, envy, submission, taken without a single raised hand. His real weapon is you. He plays the victim with surgical skill. He confesses faults, but only those that paint him brave. He shares pain, but only in a way that makes him the tragic hero. He admits failures, but only those that prove his resilience. This is how the evolved narcissist ensnares you. He offers just enough truth to seem authentic, just enough vulnerability to feel safe, just enough charisma to appear irresistible. You lower your guard, you trust, you admire. Slowly, your reality warps. You feel small around him, but can't name why. You begin to doubt yourself more. You hunger for his approval and fear his silence, and that is precisely where he wants you, uncertain, impressed, submissive. If you ever wake up to what he is, the enchantment snaps. But most never do. They orbit his ego, endlessly circling a sun that shines only for itself. They mistake confidence for superiority. They mistake crafted stories for truth. They mistake theatrical emotion for depth. And they pay for it in quiet suffering, feeling unseen, unheard, worthless beside someone who claims to love them. Because the narcissist does not forge bonds, he builds mirrors. You exist to show him what he wants to see. The instant you reflect something he dislikes, your independence, your anger, your strength, he punishes you, sometimes by withdrawing, sometimes by cruelty, sometimes by a sudden, inexplicable cutoff, and he always frames it as your fault. The evolved narcissist is a blame virtuoso. That is why confronting him is nearly impossible. You can't argue him into reason. He has rehearsed every comeback. You can't accuse him. He will flip it, making you the culprit. You can't shame him. He will use your shame as proof you are broken. If you try to leave, he will briefly become everything you once loved, only long enough to reel you back in. He does not want you. He wants your admiration. He does not love you. He loves how you made him feel about himself, and when he no longer needs you, he discards you gently, poetically, sometimes with tears, but discards you all the same. The narcissist is not a partner in building. He is an architect of himself. You are merely another brick in his facade, and yet you will miss him. That is the real cruelty. Even after you see the manipulation, even after you understand, even after you walk away, something inside will ache. He imprints himself on your mind. He will say the thing others never dared to say. He will notice the detail nobody else remembers. He will make you feel seen and then snatch it away. That small taste of being truly seen is the drug. Once sampled, everything else dulled. He counts on that. Even if you loathe him, if you remember him, he wins. But the deepest tragedy is this: the narcissist does not know himself. Beneath all masks, all identities, all mirrored faces, the core is hollow. There is no stable self. Only shifting images, trying to catch a glimpse of something real. He is both master and prisoner of the performance. When the crowd fades, the applause dies, and no one watches, he is left with silence, and that terrifies him. Because silence offers no reflection, only the question, who am I if no one is looking? Unable to answer, he begins performing again. Another audience, another stage, another mirror, forever fleeing the stillness that would force a reckoning. Now ask yourself, does this type live inside you? Are your goals yours, or bait for applause? Do you act for yourself, or for the image you want others to admire? Do you pursue real growth, or only the appearance of growth? Lie to yourself here, and you will never leave the narcissist's cage. You will spend your life performing, pleasing, posing, and dying inwardly. Answer honestly, and something rare begins. You stop acting and start becoming. But the road to clarity is brutal. Once you shatter one illusion, a darker one waits beneath. Most never pass the narcissist phase. They lose their lives to performance, addicted to praise, trapped by their image. A rare few evolve. They stop needing admiration and begin craving victory. They no longer chase praise, they chase control. From that cold evolution, a second type is born, the Machiavellian. He does not care if you love him. He does not care if you fear him. He cares only that you obey. Where the narcissist seeks attention, the Machiavellian seeks leverage. He reads people like blueprints. He speaks only when it moves the board. He trusts no one because the game is never about being liked. It is about being untouchable. The Machiavellian rests on one doctrine. People are tools, used, honed, broken, replaced. He does not romanticize them. Emotion is liability. Loyalty is currency. Kindness is camouflage. Truth is a blade to be drawn when it wins. You will find him in the wings, the advisor, the strategist, the invisible hand guiding empires. He rarely speaks first. He watches, measures, studies, then acts when you least suspect you are being read. When he finally speaks, it is never a mere reaction. It's a move, cold, calculated, designed to shift power, not feelings. This man never loses his temper because he values nothing enough to be swept by emotion. He has already planned for betrayal, accounted for failure, predicted your disloyalty. He plays long games, quiet games, games with no audience. While others announce goals, he announces nothing. He lets people speak and he records every word. He lets boastful mouths expose themselves while he collects the facts. By the time you realize he's dangerous, he already owns half the board. That is the Machiavellian advantage. You see nothing until it is too late. Unlike the narcissist who craves attention, the Machiavellian understands one hard truth. Visibility is vulnerability. The unseen man survives. You'll sense it in his presence, a strange coolness that isn't cruelty. He can laugh, joke, even charm, but he never gives himself away. His compliments never confess admiration. His anger never betrays weakness. His stories never reveal the plan. You leave thinking you connected when you didn't. He showed the version of himself he wanted you to see while learning everything he needed to know about you. That is the secret. The Machiavellian is always gathering power, not brute force, not bluster, but position. Once he has enough, he does not fight, he traps. You find yourself outmaneuvered, outthought, cornered, and you never saw it coming. What separates him from the clumsy manipulator is restraint. He never moves on impulse. He uses deception where force would be crude. He saves the burn for when the fire clears his path. Every betrayal is timed. Every alliance is conditional. Every word carries a loaded meaning. This is not chaos. It is precision. That is what makes him terrifying. He's not petty. He's efficient. If hurting you changes the game, he will do it with elegance. If helping you wins loyalty, he will do it with sincere grace. You never know which face you face because he is not on any side. He plays above the board, watching others scramble while he decides the single move that ends the game. Even so, this type has a fatal flaw, the belief that he is always the smartest man in the room. Arrogance wrapped in strategy remains arrogance, and once he underestimates, once he assumes his traps cannot fail, he slips. A perfect plan, once revealed, becomes a target. The greatest power is the power you hide, the paradox of the Machiavellian. To win, he must never show his hand. But play too long, too cold, too high above the fray, and you forget why you started. Detachment lets your empire rot from inside. Now ask yourself, do you know someone like this, or are you becoming him? Do you see people as levers instead of lives? Do you watch more than you speak? Do you feel detached, surgical, calm even amid chaos? And more important, do you like that? If you evolve from narcissist to Machiavellian, you may feel stronger, smarter, invincible, but beware. This path exacts a price. No real connection, no peace, no true alliance, only advantage and survival. Once chosen, there is no return to innocence, only a deeper darkness. He trusts no one, and that is what keeps him sharp. The Machiavellian wakes already playing the game before he checks his phone or utters a word. Every day is a battlefield of position, not violence. He need not shout to be feared. He only needs to know what you want, because the man who knows your desire controls your choices. And the Machiavellian has perfected this. He studies people like experiments, learns their insecurities, hungers and guilt, not to heal but to use. His relationships are blueprints, his favors are snares, his silence is strategy. When he finally strikes, he does not raise his voice. He pulls a single thread, and the whole illusion collapses. He grasps what most never will. Control outlasts affection, influence outlasts intimidation. If the narcissist needs adoration, and the brute needs obedience, the Machiavellian needs only compliance without resistance. And that is what makes him dangerous. You will believe it was your idea to yield. You will think you chose to trust him. But every sentence, every compliment, every story was engineered not for your approval, but for your compliance. He does not need to convince you. He builds a world where resistance is exhausting and agreement feels natural. By the time you notice, you are deep in the web. This is not petty manipulation. His vision is larger than applause or revenge. He wants empire, control of the entire board, not a single piece. That is why he rises. In business, politics, war, the cold strategist stands behind the throne, if not seated upon it. He calculates systems as well as people, finds the weak hinge in a structure, applies pressure. He needs no throne to rule. He needs the man on the throne to owe him. While others chase power, he acquires it through debts, secrets, and silence. He does not dominate the room. He makes the ruler ask him what to do. But here is the curse. No one truly knows him, and that isolation, while powerful, becomes its own prison. Because once everyone around you is a pawn, no one is ever truly close. You begin to doubt loyalty, even when it's genuine. You anticipate betrayal even when none is coming. You become addicted to outsmarting everyone and paranoid that someone might outsmart you. So you never rest. You never trust. You never stop scanning the field. Even in victory there is unease. Even in peace there is plotting. Because the Machiavellian has confused mastery with meaning. He has mastered the game, but forgotten the purpose of playing it. This is where the darker shift begins. Some Machiavellians grow weary of acting, of pretending, of waiting, and in that exhaustion they abandon strategy altogether. What rises in its place is not order, but chaos. Coldness becomes cruelty. Precision becomes destruction. The manipulator becomes the destroyer because eventually even the strategist grows bored of strings and shadows. He craves something real, but true connection is impossible now, so he seeks sensation instead. Danger, pain, power for power's sake. This is how the tactician descends into the third type, the most feared of all. Before that collapse, you must ask yourself, are you here already? Are you playing the game so well that you've stopped asking why you entered it? Are you isolating yourself for safety or because you no longer believe in anything but control? Have your relationships become contracts? Has your identity become a calculation? Because if you are already living inside the Machiavellian mind, then you know how the story ends. Cold triumphs, empty rooms, no trust, no peace. Only a mind that never rests. Only a world that never feels secure enough to let it stop. And from here, the next phase is not higher, but deeper into something primal, ruthless, and far less human. He does not need your approval. He does not need your loyalty. He does not even need your notice. The third type has transcended the game entirely. The psychopath does not scheme like the Machiavellian or hunger for attention like the narcissist. He moves by pure will, pure impulse, pure domination, without guilt, without hesitation, without shame. While others weigh their risks, he has already acted, and by the time they understand, it is finished. The psychopath does not care for reputation. He is not burdened by fear, regret, or conscience. And that is what makes him lethal. He is the embodiment of detachment, not spiritual but surgical, a man who feels nothing but the rush of power when others recoil. You may not see him at first. He doesn't always appear as chaos. Often he is composed, too composed. While others rage or panic, he observes with eyes cold, steady, unreadable. He does not justify. He does not over-explain. He moves through problems, through people, through outcomes as if they do not exist, and to him they don't. For conscience is a chain. Emotion is a leash. The past is irrelevant. Only the next strike matters. That is why he can lie without a pause, wound without guilt, destroy without regret. It is not personal. It is not malicious. It is instinct. The predator does not despise the prey. He simply does not care if it bleeds. You will find him wherever disorder reigns, not avoiding the storm, but walking straight into it. While the narcissist crumbles without applause, and the Machiavellian waits for the perfect moment, the psychopath makes the moment. He thrives in fire, in unpredictability, in collapse. The more unstable the world, the more alive he becomes. He does not falter when rules crack. He shatters them first. And that gives him an edge that terrifies men of caution. He will go further, cross lines, erase laws, silence morality, because for him, boundaries are not sacred, they are optional, and most men's restraint is only another tool for him to exploit. Yet he is not a fool. The psychopath is not a blunt weapon. He is sharp, deliberate, often brilliantly intelligent. He knows the emotions you expect, and he counterfeits them flawlessly. He can smile, speak kindly, even weep if it suits him. But within, nothing stirs, nothing roots, because to feel is to be exposed, and he discarded that weakness long ago, perhaps by trauma, perhaps by choice. It does not matter. What matters is that now he is unchained from conscience, and this grants him freedom others cannot touch. He walks into chaos unshaken and bends it to his command. Not because he is brave, but because he does not care if he burns. This is why the psychopath often seizes the crown when empires fall, when the old systems fail, when fear devours nations. He rises, because others freeze at the weight of consequence, but he carries none. While others bargain, he takes. While others hesitate, he strikes. And even those who see the truth still obey, not from affection but from awe, because at the root people admire what they fear, and they fear what they cannot predict. That is his power. You will never know whether he will spare you or smile while ending you. But there is a cost. The psychopath wins control but loses humanity. He may conquer the battlefield but stand alone upon it. He may build an empire but reign in silence, because no one trusts him, no one loves him, no one stays. He is a storm that passes through, leaving ruins in its wake, untouched himself. His name may echo in chronicles, but no voice will mourn when it vanishes. And the truth is, he doesn't care. That's what makes him tragic. He doesn't want to be saved. He doesn't believe in redemption. He only believes in strength, in dominance, in the relentless force of will that drives the world to its knees. And once you accept that mindset, it's almost impossible to return. Still, many attempt to wear the mask. They imitate the posture, the coldness, the unshakable stare. But pretending to be a psychopath is not the same as being one. Because when real chaos strikes, most men crumble, most men beg, most men collapse. But the true psychopath walks forward untouched, not because he is fearless, but because he has nothing left to lose. And the moment you stop fearing consequences, you unlock the power to do anything. The psychopath does not flinch because fear requires imagination. And he no longer imagines pain, loss, or consequence. He has moved beyond story, beyond guilt, beyond the strings of emotion that restrain most men. And this lack of hesitation gives him one ruthless edge: speed. While others analyze, the psychopath acts. While others worry about the ending, he creates it. Not carefully, not cautiously, but with raw, violent force that overturns everything in his path. This is not recklessness, it is freedom. A freedom most men can't grasp because they are still bound to memory, to shame, to approval. But the psychopath cut those ties long ago, and in cutting them he became untouchable. Yet do not confuse his power with success. The psychopath is not a builder. He is not a planner. He does not care for legacy. He does not preserve, nurture, or negotiate. He conquers, then abandons. He thrives on disruption, not creation, on conquest, not governance. That is why so many burn out, not from defeat, but from emptiness. When there are no more lines to cross, no more enemies to crush, no more fires to fuel, the thrill dies. And without that thrill, nothing remains. Because unlike the Machiavellian who plays the long game, or the narcissist who seeks importance, the psychopath doesn't look past the moment. His life is a chain of nows, each more violent, more intoxicating than the last. Still, some rise to terrifying power: CEOs, generals, warlords, cult leaders. They command not through love, but through force. Often not even physical force, but psychological weight. Their gaze can silence a room. Their stillness can break a man. Their presence bends reality because everyone feels it. This is someone who rejects rules. Not yours, not society's, not God's. And in a world held together by illusions, morality, empathy, consequence, the man who steps outside of illusion holds the most dangerous power. The power to act without restraint, to decide without remorse, to destroy without hesitation. That is the psychopath's domain. Cold, absolute, godless. But here lies the deception of envy. Many weak men admire this type. They think power means being feared. They think freedom means feeling nothing. They think victory means becoming ruthless. But they do not understand the price. The psychopath does not choose this path. He is this path. His emptiness is not a gift. It is a condition, and it carries a torment most cannot see. Disconnection, the inability to love, the absence of joy, the rejection of belonging. He may dominate the room, but he will never belong to it. He may crush every enemy, but he will never rest, because rest requires attachment. And he killed that in himself long ago, Worse still, when the psychopath fails, he collapses not in rage, but in emptiness. He does not spiral like the narcissist. He does not adjust like the Machiavellian. He simply stops, because he never learned patience, never learned to rebuild, never learned to endure. He only knew how to dominate, and when domination is impossible, nothing remains. No tribe, no meaning, no self, only a hollow silence deeper than death, because it still breathes. This is the final price of the third type. In victory, he stands alone. In defeat, he disappears. Either way, the ending is isolation. And now you must ask yourself one last time, which type commands you? Which mask have you worn so long you forgot it was a mask? Have you been chasing validation like the narcissist, hoping applause would make you real? Have you been moving pieces like the Machiavellian, thinking control guarantees safety? Or have you become the psychopath, detached, cold, untouchable, but hollow? Most men are ruled by one, influenced by another, and pretend they are none. But the only path to true power is ruthless honesty. Because when you finally confess which shadow rules you, you do not become weaker, you become aware. And awareness is the birth of mastery, not to kill the shadow, but to guide it, not to pretend you are good, but to command your darkness. That is the rarest kind of power, the man who recognizes the narcissist in himself and restrains it. The man who recognizes the Machiavellian in himself and sharpens it. The man who recognizes the psychopath and chains it. He is not pure, he is not harmless, he is not safe, but he is awake. And in a world of sleepers, he is the most dangerous of all. If you are still here, it is because some part of you already knows this truth. You are ruled by a shadow. Whether you admit it or not, narcissist, Machiavellian, or psychopath, one of them already whispers through your instincts, guides your decisions, shapes your fate. So now I ask you, are you ready to face the mask you forgot you wore? Are you ready to master the dark before it masters you? If this struck you, if it made sense, then write in the comments, I master my shadow. Let's see how many here are ready to turn awareness into power. And remember, keep watching the next video. It matters more than you think. See you there.